Welcome. Today's a special episode of the tattoo collecting podcast. This weekend we're doing Reinventing Live here at Red Tree.
Yeah. Yep.
So I want to special thanks on this episode for all the effort put forth by the Reinventing team. Thank you for all of the sponsors that make Reinventing possible, because that's what makes all of this possible for us.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm excited for Reinventing Live this weekend, because since we've gotten the Red Tree facility here, like right after we got kind of snuggled in here and started working on things, that's when the pandemic hit. But originally at Red Tree, we wanted to be an educational facility and like arts and music events and things like that. So to me, this is our first real big tattoo event that's going on here, which is, it's amazing that it's so going to be educational and so many artists participating. So
this is kind of finally picking up where we left off before it shut down, because we were supposed to have that little seminar weekend here, and then boom. 3 weeks before that was supposed to happen, we got shut down.
Yep. And we got shut down a month outside of Health City, like all that stuff. So kind of everything, with everybody, kind of halted for a while. And this feels like the first real tattoo event we're having here at the facility this weekend. So
I'm excited.
I'm stoked. We've had a lot of really good paint nights though. So Kari, you've probably seen online some of the paint nights we've had here. We get 20, 30 people that show up from different studios. And so that's been nice, but that's more of kind of private events and things. So it's nice to have the Reinventing Live this weekend.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to be broadcasting everything out. I went and helped with the Jiminy Peak event, but doing this here is so much more it's going to be so easy. We've got everything we need. Yeah. There's no running or searching.
No, it's all gonna be everything's right here in the facility. I mean, we got all the Health City equipment from the conventions and stuff. So pretty much everything's here that we need. We got a variety of booths too, that different artists like Bob Tyrell is going to be working out of one of the booths.
Yep, I'm really excited to talk to Bob Tyrell. So thanks to Reinventing, I have all these moments where I get starstruck. Like when I accidentally talked to Kari for an hour, I thought I was just going to ask a question or two, and then Gabe left us. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm talking to Kari Barba today. All right.
That was kind of fun. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yep, I like it. I like all these opportunities to talk to people that I look up to, and it's a cool learning opportunity, because we talk about it all the time. I didn't do a traditional apprenticeship at all, so there's a whole slew of history that I missed early on in my career. So it's really special to dive into it now when I can appreciate it.
Some of the artists and stuff that you talk to too. Mm-hmm. That's why I like doing podcasts a lot too, because you get a lot of different perspectives and just outside of the box questions and things like that. Did you learn about some of the artists, some of the stories you're probably hearing? Aren't stories that everybody gets to hear. So
do you want to introduce our special guest, Kari, today?
We have the one and only Kari Barba on live with us today. She's the mother of Jeremiah Barba, who you also know. Back when I knew Kari, early 90s, you had Twilight Fantasy back then at Beach and Ball. And that's when me and Dean DeKine headed out there, and Dean was working with you, and I was a little 19-year-old hanging around. I think I tried to get a job too with Jack, back in the day, because he was right around the corner. So those are memorable days when I was, out there living in, originally it was Palm Springs, California. And then me and Dean moved to Anaheim, and then over to Huntington Beach. And then I went from there with Sailor Moses. So, but ever since then, me and Kari, we've stayed in contact just over the years. I'm looking at you on the computer here and trying to look at you there. But we've stayed in contact. We've had you out to the Health City Tattoo Fest, you and your family and Jeremiah and the kids and stuff like that. So it's it's been awesome. So it's good to see you on the podcast, because I know Fawn here is a huge fan of yours as well, and your artwork and just kind of like your history, because Kari, you came up in a time when female tattoo artists were slowly on the uprise, and you guys were just as talented as any of the guys. So it's amazing to see where tattooing's gone, and see that you're literally one of the pioneers of female tattooing today, in my opinion. So,
oh, thank you. I know there's a handful of us right around the same era, and of course there's many, well, not many, but women who came before us who helped pave the way for us, and hopefully we're helping pave the way for some others. That's all we can do, right? But I remember when you first came in the shop, you said you were young 19 or little 19, but you might have been young, but you definitely weren't little. I remember
that photo of me and you. I'm towering. I think my hand's on your head.
You're and then you're picking me up, and I'm like, okay.
It's okay. He does that to us too.
Yeah.
I'll be minding my own business, and the next thing you know, I'm in some fancy chokehold.
She's got a little hoodie on. all the jujitsu. I sneak up behind him.
I know how to tap out real well. I'll do like the death rattle and tap
Yeah.
out.
She's like, I can get out of
there you
any
go.
submission that Durb has, and that's it. You're out.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know. I'll
Yeah.
have to learn those, but I haven't had that happen in a while. So
Now you and Jeremiah are doing, or Jeremiah's doing a podcast as well. And I saw you on there as well, which is cool. You know.
yeah, it
how's
was really
Jeremiah's going?
exciting. Yeah, it's going great. You know, that's really exciting. Bloodline is what that's called, Bloodline. And it was really great to sit down actually with Jeremiah because, you know, even though he's my son, how often do you just sit around and talk about, you know, your past and the history of tattoo? And even though he was in the shop, you know, hanging out since, you know,
it's like my
constantly since he was 2 years old, you know, he was there every day.
Yeah.
But still, there's all those stories and the things he wasn't aware of, you know, so it's nice to share that. And on his podcast, we got, I think, to the 80s. So at the end of the podcast, he said, let's pick it back up and go next decade. So we're might be doing, you know, like
one.
decade by decade. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about that. See what kind of, you know, history we can get into and get into things that haven't been touched on yet.
It's always cool to see like the family kind of following in the footsteps too. Like when I was out there, I think Jeremiah was 5 years old, you know, something like that. But it's really cool to see especially with like historic, you know, families of tattooing to see the children get into it and the kids kind of take up. Jeremiah how long has he been tattooing now for?
I was trying to figure that out.
Over
So I think he did his first, he was, let's see, gosh, I don't know, definitely over a decade. I'm going to say closer because he did his first one at like 15, I think. So 20, let's see, how old is he? Maybe right around 20 years. I'd have to get out the calculator now. See, you're dating me.
Yeah, that's awesome. My son's just now he's 26 and he's just now starting his apprenticeship, you know, and I didn't just want to hand it to him, you know, he was kind of trying to figure out if he wanted to do music. So he finally buckled down. He's like, all right, you know, cause I got a granddaughter now, you know, so I guess, so he's like, all right. I think he's looking at the family lineage of tattooing and he's finally getting into it, which feels really good. You know,
it is really good. Jeremiah's daughter, his oldest daughter, he has 2 daughters. The older one, she contemplated getting into tattooing. So she actually, you know, came to the shop, was working here as shop help for a bit. And then, you know, she was kind of him and hawing around whether she wanted to do that at the time or go into designing fashion and things of that nature, which has migrated into now she's into wanting to design gaming, you know, so she might come back. She's a very good artist, follows in her dad's footsteps, you know, so we'll see if that goes that way or a different direction, but there's still the little one too. We got the little one yet.
Art could take you in so many different directions, you know, like I never thought with my art as a kid, I didn't think I'd get into tattooing.
Oh, I never would have imagined I was going to be a tattooer.
Yeah, like where your art is going to take you, or you know what field you're going to get interested in.
What do you think you were going to do with art, Durb?
I actually thought I was going to be a carpenter, believe it or not, because I grew up in my grandfather's woodworking shop, his giant woodworking shop, and even at his funeral, there was other woodworkers that were like comparing him to like an 18th century woodworker. So that was one of the directions I was going to go, was carpentry, because and it was artistic stuff my grandfather was doing with like carpentry was artistic. So as a kid, that's what caught my eye, but I was already drawing. And then, you know, my story is I found punk rock and skateboarding, and that type of art was everywhere. So that's kind of what sparked my interest with tattooing. You know. How about you?
I wanted to be like either like a medical illustrator, or I wanted to do something like sculptural. I really wanted to work in a foundry. Yeah, that was my goal. Like I wanted to stay on like the classical discipline and work my way into a big foundry. That was my goal. But
I like the direction we all went. I think we all went the right direction. Kari,
what about you?
Like an artistic foundry? That's kind of interesting. I used to work in a foundry before I tattooed. I used to do the core assembly, kind of the sculpture that they pour the metal into for the F-18 fighter jet. I used to do that.
I would love to play with.
That's what you were doing before tattooing?
One of the things, you know, I've had many of career before tattooing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
started out as a donut baker. I think everybody knows that I used to bake donuts, and then I had a little, mini blind job, and I worked at a book bindery and lots of little things along the way. But
you
the
could still do
foundry, I
a-
was there quite a while.
And
Yeah.
you could do a donut tattoo studio price still, I bet. You could-
Oh God, I hope not. No.
It's funny because at the original Red Tree location in Italian Village, when I opened up Red Tree, there was a cookie and crepe shop attached to us. And
So good.
no, it was good, but we all got like 10 to 15
Yep.
pounds like overweight pretty quick.
There were times that I was at sessions where Adam would open up the window by the stairs and he'd like stick his head out and
Yeah.
holler, and then a few
Yeah.
minutes later,
Cookies come
yep,
over. So yeah, it was kind of dangerous.
it was too
good.
easy.
It was good for
Yeah,
clients for like
yeah.
blood sugar, but wasn't good for our, waistlines.
I enjoyed it when I was
Absolutely.
getting tattooed there for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Snacks
Yeah.
are great.
What,
We had a bakery too. We had a bakery by the Anaheim shop there, and Tito's Tacos was right there. We had all kind of great food right around
Are you
us there.
still-
So
Are you still at that location? That was the beach and ball location, right?
yeah, not there anymore. So we closed that down. I'm gonna say maybe 6, 7 years ago. Long Beach, the oldest shop in the country, the oldest shop in the nation here is where we're at now in Long
Yeah.
Beach. Burt Grimm's old shop. So the one
That's
in
right,
Anaheim, we just consolidated things. I had 4 shops at the time, and it got to be a little too spread out, too much to handle.
Too much.
So I'm down to 2 now,
That's probably nice.
and ended up, I closed that one, and then I closed the one over in Orange. But Jeremiah took that over for a while.
Okay.
Jeremiah took over the Orange studio,
Mhm.
and then later on decided to do his own thing. So he works on it with himself now at Conclave, which is in Sunset Beach.
Okay. Nice. Like, yeah. So you got 2 locations, and you got Burt Grimm's old studio. How did you
Yep.
come about getting Burt Grimm's studio? How did that all work out?
I was kind of super lucky, but Rick Walters was, they had the shop up for sale at the time. The Shaw brothers had the shop up for sale, and Rick was like, "You should buy the shop. You should buy the shop." And at the time, I already had the other 3 shops, and I really didn't want to handle another shop. But long story short, then it got to a point where the shop was in jeopardy, and they were going to close it down. And we heard that they were just going to ditch it, and I was like, "Oh my God, the
All that
history." Yeah, everything. It's like the oldest shop. It's the only one still running that's that old. And so, I got together with a friend and, approached them about taking over the shop. And at that time, they had already closed the actual shop by a couple days. So people were coming by and,
Starting to look at it and-
getting their little memorabilia piece, And when we came by here, it was, pretty much stripped. There was only a few things laying around on the floor and things like that. But we took it over in 2003 and got it back up and running, tattooing as soon as we possibly could. And there was, a lot of things. Once there's a sale involved, the city steps in and says, "Oh, you got to, fix your electrical. You got to do this, and you got to do this." So there was all that. But that said, we got it up and going pretty quick. But it was Rick who suggested it, and he kind of called himself my tattoo godfather or grandfather. Because I used to work for Fat George in La Puente, who Rick taught to tattoo. So
Okay.
kind of that downstream, kind of he always joked about I was kind of in his tattoo family. So that was pretty cool.
Now who did you apprentice under? Like, how did you get started pretty much?
Yeah, the life of knowledge. I didn't apprentice. I didn't do that. I couple years after starting to tattoo, wish I would have, because then you kind of got to step back and kind of relearn, but back then it was very hard to get into tattooing, super hard. And I happened to have a neighbor who was my downstairs neighbor, was a tattoo artist who worked for Dave Bucrew in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Neil Grant was his name. And he's the one who said, "Kari, you should, you should really try tattooing. I think you'd be good at it. He used
Were you
to,
just
come
painting
up,
at that
hang out,
point? Just doing art at that
just
point?
sketching. Yeah, just drawing, not really any painting. I didn't start really painting till later in life and still kind of struggle with that, because I don't do it very often. But Neil talked me into trying it out. And so I did. And then, took me to Dave's house, showed him the tattoo and was trying to kind of get me in the door. Right. And Dave, this is in the 70s. So Dave was pretty upset about it, definitely. And kind of gave me the cold shoulder and, so he gave me a call the next day and told me that there was a guy in California who was looking for an apprentice or somebody to work with him. And he told me about Cliff Raven and told me I should consider going out, meeting Cliff and talking to him about it, which I did later on, go out and meet Cliff, like 2 years later. I went out and met Cliff, but I never did approach him about an apprenticeship or anything. I just, never had the courage to do that, say, hey, teach me.
Would you say you're more self-taught? Did you just kind of like dig in?
Yeah, pretty much sit down and figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand multi-group needles at the time. I didn't understand. And I was used to sketching with a pencil that I didn't paint yet, like I said. So I didn't have any knowledge of, size difference, what that would do. So I just sat down with that single needle and did everything. Yeah. Then, kind of finding out at the same time, then, Jack Rudy and those guys were already doing that, which kind of inspired me a little bit more. But then I also thought about color, like, why couldn't we do color that way? So I started doing color like that at the time, little bitty quarter size full color scenes that now look like dust. Right? They don't look very good anymore, right? But at the time it was pretty cool. Like, oh yeah, look what I did. I did this. I joke about when I did on my sister. She got like a size of a quarter on her back, and she got a little bluebird sitting on a branch, with the little distant tree in the background and all that. And I see her now, and I'm like, what was that again?
I see a feather, but other than that,
no, there's no feathers. There's nothing. It's just look like chalk
just
smears
morphed into one little blob.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And she hasn't let me cover it because she says it's a good memory for her,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got some clients like that with my real early work where, like, being self-taught, there's a lot of like trial and error. Like, here we go.
Yep.
And
then you have
it's funny
friends that are still around years later to be like,
funny
remember
how
this?
like I've got some collectors from like day one who are totally down with me, like reworking my own stuff, like reworking a whole limb, like whatever. And then I've got other clients that are like, I like it the way it is.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I
that's
mean,
classic.
I can make it good, like my current stuff. Like, we can make it better without changing it. Like, just let me have one more day on it. No, I like it the way it is. All right. I mean,
I've had friends mess with me and show up to like tattoo conventions, like stuff I did when I was like 17, 18 on them. They're like, I'm going to enter this today, bro. With your name.
Yeah, totally.
Like, no.
So I'm at, this will be my 43rd year and tattooing. And when we opened the shop in Anaheim, it was 1983, right? So that first client will still pop in the door and go, remember me? I was your first client in the shop. Remember? Here's my piece,
That shows you how much we affect people for like their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I always remember that,
Yeah, you always have that connection. Sometimes I don't even, not to sound like this, but I don't remember some of my clients by like their face, or they're like, remember me? Until they show me their tattoo. And then I'm like,
then it like because snaps right back.
Yeah, well, you're focused,
but I know the connection of the person, but so sometimes I don't even remember people till I see the tattoo, and I'm like, but they don't remember every little detail. Like,
this is one of the reasons why, like, I think it's so important to keep like your etiquette and your bedside manner, and like be mindful of the experience you're leaving your clients with, because they don't just have the tattoo. They're going to talk about that day. They're going to talk about they're going to talk about what you ordered them for lunch. They're going to talk about what show you were watching to distract them.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about the kind of music you were
People
listening
love
to. They're
They're
going to,
tattoo artists.
yeah.
If you think about
Like-
it, like if they have a, like a dedicated, artist they go to, the client and artist relationship, I think it's pretty strong.
It is. It definitely
You
is.
know?
But that's why it's so important to like make sure we, as artists, to make sure that we're attaching good memories to these tattoos. And that's what makes people be like, no, that's the memory. I want to
Yeah.
keep it the
I
way
wanna
it
keep
is.
it.
I don't want to change it.
Yeah.
Like, let's do something else.
It's true though. Yeah.
That's why it's
You've
just
probably
so
seen that over
important.
the years, Kari. Just a connection
Yeah.
of, because you've done a lot of like large work on people. So do you still see a
Yeah,
lot of your
absolutely.
clients that you've been tattooing forever? Like the friendships?
Yeah, they
are there
come
for
in all
life?
the time. I have one guy, it brings a memory back. I did a portrait of, his cat passed, and it was his like soulmate, his cat, right? And he comes in every year on the anniversary of his tattoo, every single year, and pops in, and I'm like, hi Ken, how you doing? And he goes, I still got my baby right here. I still got my baby,
Every day,
and
like you affected him every day
every
of his life.
single year. Yep. And I just know he's going to come in the door, but there's so many situations like that, where they have the memory. And being here, like, okay, in the oldest shop,
Yeah.
we get other people's clients, all the clients from all the past artists will pop in.
Yeah,
And,
you're right.
I got my tattoo in 63 or, whatever year it
right in that
is,
corner,
right
right
here.
there.
I sat right here. And they tell me about the person who did it and why they chose it.
That's
And
rad.
it's really good.
That's so
It's really
cool.
cool to hear all those stories.
I think getting into tattooing, I didn't realize that like there was that much of a connection. You know what I mean? I didn't realize, I'd worked retail before. So like, give somebody what they want. They're going to be a happy camper. They come back. But I didn't realize how much of a spiritual
life
connection
connection.
there was. I wasn't heavily tattooed yet. Like I had a few tattoos, but I hadn't connected with an artist in that way. But like once people started connecting with me, it was kind of weird.
You
and then like
Yeah.
once like Adam started working on large stuff with me, like that connection is
connection.
just so like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost different than hanging out with your best friend. Cause it's like, all right, I'm going to get beat up today, but I'm also going to
We
get
get them through a
babied.
tough moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a weird day to prepare for
I've
because you're
always
so
said that's-
vulnerable getting tattooed,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a person. So here's the I guess here's the thing that I didn't expect. I didn't expect to walk people through those vulnerable moments. I didn't
You'd be
expect to
their
like,
coach
yeah,
and their-
almost be that like shaman through
Mhm.
those
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
painful
you really are kind of
times.
like a
And then
shaman, or like
yeah.
sometimes you're a therapist and
Yep.
they just want to talk.
and then like in
It's
the really challenging sessions, then that brings up my really challenging sessions. And then I coach them and I tell them how I got through it. And I'll tell them like, just close your eyes. Like it hurts, but just close your eyes
Yeah.
and enjoy it because there's going to be some crazy visuals coming.
Right,
Like
yeah,
this is
like,
going to hurt,
go
but
through
just
some tough
enjoy the good
moments.
side of it. And if I hadn't experienced that, with a person that was like kind enough to allow me to experience it, I couldn't then pass that along.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the extra in addition to the tattoo. Here are all the other lessons and all the other visuals and all the other things that you get along with it.
Yeah. And it is.
Well, nowadays, we start, everybody's laying down, back when I was tattooing in the early days, everybody's sitting in a hard back chair. They're super uncomfortable. Yeah. Now they're laying down, they got pillows and cushy blankets and whatever
That's
they
where
want.
the industry
Right.
is now. Yeah. It's
and then we're,
advanced and
I got them hooked up to an iPad with Netflix or, Hulu or movies or music or something, something to pass their time,
Yep.
Lots
that's
of
a huge
pillows,
thing.
pillow between the knees, under the back, wherever you want it,
Yeah.
It's like, let's get you cozy.
I
Do
think
you
that
remember
helps a
the
lot.
days where all you could do was count the holes in the ceiling
Yeah,
tiles? Like,
you
all
count the
right,
same,
there's
or you
look at the same
470
thing.
in that one.
Yeah, over and over and over. That's a good, like you said, the furniture is better for like the clients, even the artists.
Yep.
But like you said, the visual distractions I think are important because counting the same tiles for a 6-hour session.
Yeah.
Here at Red Tree, like each booth has their own television. They can log into their own, or their clients can log in and watch their stuff. But I think keeping like a good distraction for the client while they're comfortable is really important. You do that a lot too. You always have your TV on.
Yeah.
Clients facing it,
Yeah. I try to treat my clients like it's their spa day, like whatever I can do to make their day more enjoyable. I mean, I'm beating them up, but outside of that, like I want you to have a good time.
Yeah,
Be
exactly.
relaxed.
Yeah.
And we've all had those sessions that are like super painful, or maybe you weren't taken care of as kindly as you want, but then you remember the ones that like guy just and takes care of you like crazy. You're so
That's
cozy
right.
getting
That's
tattooed by a
right.
guy, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you try to keep that going with your
Mhm.
clients and stuff too.
Yeah, even we came up with this, because sometimes they're laying face down and you got their face in the donut, right, looking at the
Yeah.
floor. So we have this little stand. We put the iPad right underneath there, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they can have their phone or something, so they can have a little shelf there,
Be
and they can,
distracted.
do a game or watch TV or do whatever they want. They're totally distracted, not just staring at the floor. So that's pretty helpful too.
Yeah.
Get the fans going on them if they're warm. And we
Yeah.
had some little blankets made, that we give them, and they can take it home if they want afterwards, if
Oh,
they're chilly.
TLC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Blankets,
I
everything.
trying.
like that idea. We
Yeah,
don't have.
Yeah,
Why don't
I
we
know,
have
right?
rent-free
Yeah, I'm gonna get
blankets?
blankets.
Like little
Little
itty
You're gonna get me in
bitty
trouble
throws.
here, Carrie.
We
My bad boss.
you know,
now.
like the little
Yeah.
airport ones, they roll up, and they're just
Yeah.
cozy, and because they're using them on their body and their tattoo. It's like, here,
Yeah.
that's yours. Take it home now.
I think just like a shop, like the distractions we're talking. I like getting tattooed at conventions because I'm like people watching, visually distracted, and it seems like when I get tattooed at conventions, time goes quicker. I think I'm so distracted.
Yeah.
I just flash back to that time in Detroit. Durb and I didn't know each other real well yet.
Oh,
And Russ was working like in the armfit area, Russ Abbott.
yeah.
And he
doing
was
inside
just
line.
not a happy camper.
I got like
This
1
guy,
hour of sleep.
yeah, I'm standing there watching. Like at conventions, I just like to stand back and watch. I like to like take in other people's techniques and things like that. Like there's a lot you can learn by just like keeping your mouth shut and watching at a convention. This is advice. Anybody that's listening, just stand and watch. Keep your mouth shut
Mhm.
sometimes. So anyways, so I'm doing this and Russ is working on Durb, and Durb is not a happy camper. And there's this guy that comes up and he's like, "You want a drink, bro? I'll go get you whatever you want from the bar." And Durb's like, "No." And he's all curled up in
I
the
think I had,
fetal
like, shades
position.
on, like,
Yeah, he's not feeling it. And
super
I like
tired.
walk up, I'm like, "You want a bottle of Bactine?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll take that,
That I
not a
want.
drink.
Yeah.
What my one friend
Yeah.
Brian, who works for Hell City and stuff too, but he was there at the convention, and I'm like laying there and I have shades on. It's a Sunday, so what Saturday night parties at conventions are like. And he just walks up and he walks around. Okay, I got another funny story after this, but Brian comes around the corner. He's like, "Sun never sets on a badass, huh?" Because I have my shades on. And then he walks away, and it's funny, because I've known Brian Everett since I was like 18, and I got tattooed by Brian Everett when I was 18, and I had this exorcist portrait on the inside of my arm, and it was like, black and gray, but I didn't want it anymore because I just wanted to get any kind of like negative anything off my skin. So
Mhm.
while Russ was doing that, it was so funny too, because Brian was at the show. And we're on like a corner booth, so I can't see past the curtain. And all of a sudden, Brian Everett pops around the corner, and he's just like, started giving me shit, like a friendly way. But he's like, "Man, getting rid of the exorcist portrait, huh?" So that's what I was
We've
talking
all
about.
done.
Like getting tattooed at the convention to me is like kind of entertaining because you get to see people, or people see you in like a vulnerable moment. You're usually the tattooer and you're tattooing everybody, and then getting that vulnerable moments. I like it.
Yeah, I got tattooed at the conventions a couple of times. I got a tattoo from Tintin, from France one year, and once by Patty Kelly at a convention.
Yeah.
It's always pretty exciting, to do that. But I enjoy it because you are distracted, you are busy, and I love that in the shop too. Like when the shop, for me, this is just my opinion, because a lot of people really like it chill and quiet, personal. But I like it when there's a hustle and bustle going on out there.
Yeah.
Lots
Like
of
the
people
old
to look
days.
at, lots of noise. Yeah, it's just the way we came up.
Just boom.
You're praying for the crowds to come in and people to ask you a ton of questions and all that kind of stuff. I love it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you hit many conventions nowadays? Are you hitting the road, or are you just kind of staying put and focusing on the studios?
Yeah, I haven't worked tattooed in an actual convention in years. I haven't been to many, actually. I went to a couple of the Hell City ones, little, pre-pandemic we're talking. And the other one that I did was Mondial du Tatouage in France, right? Where I would go judge there with Tintin and Philip and Luke and Bill Salmon, rest in peace. and London show, went there a couple times, but I haven't actually worked a convention in so long. It just
Yeah.
became where, for me personally, it's like I want to, chill out when I'm there a little bit. So I don't tattoo at them anymore. But
As much,
I used to do it every
Yeah.
single convention, every single year. Back when I was tattooing, it was only once a year. So, or I mean, back when I started, it was once a year. You'd go to National Tattoo
You were
Association
at the early
convention.
conventions, yeah, like
Yeah.
the birth of conventions and stuff back then. It's
Well,
crazy
my
where they've
first
come
one,
now.
yeah, my first convention was in '82 at the Queen Mary,
Was
put
that
on by the three.
Was that the actual first convention, the Queen Mary?
No, it
wasn't.
wasn't. The first one was national. That one just happened to be a really great big one put on by three big names, but national started theirs, I think, in 78.
Damn.
Maybe it was 77, but I think it was 78. So first one of theirs I went to was in 79. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the first one I actually tattooed at was in 82.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, I know. Were you born
when
yet?
Did you start hustling?
Yeah, I was born 72. I was just out of diapers. But no, that's awesome to know, because that's what I tell people too. Like, one of the things I like, I don't know about my generation, I've seen tattooing kind of, at the lower moments and when it wasn't as popular and fashionable, but I've also been able to enjoy seeing the growth and appreciation of the art form over the years. There's a lot of things going on now that weren't going on when we first started or when the conventions were going. So I like the fact, I really like this era of tattooing, because we've seen the changes. We're not coming in after the changes have been made. We've actually seen the appreciation. We've seen the hard times when you get super dirty looks walking down the street, or like, a different look toward your tattoos.
I mean, it still kind of depends on the community, but like, this is definitely an art form that finally has earned its stripes, and the world sees tattoo art as fine art. There's always going to be like the folk style tattoos, let's call it, like there's always going to be the folk art factor to tattooing. That will always be there, because there's so much tradition. Exactly. There's always going to be that, like, handed down, like there's always going to be the folk art style tattooing. That's never going to go away. However, it's just really nice that, like, in my generation of tattooing, I've gotten to see it grow into the fine art. I didn't really, I mean, I guess very early in my career, things were a little bit rougher. It was still a little bit more like biker oriented for me and things like that.
I'm glad we saw those days, because it makes you appreciate where it is now.
It's really nice to, like, this is the beginning of the tattoo renaissance. This, hundreds of years from now, they're going to say that tattooing started this whole new art renaissance. Like, tattooing is causing the general public to get interested in art again. And that's pretty special.
And tattooing to me is like, it's the hardest art form.
I bet way back in time it was like that too. We're just not aware of it, But back when the cavemen were tattooing each other, I bet their art, inspired. Right. There was, I'm sure, if you think about it, if you look how beautiful those images were, at the time, right? That had to be happening. It's just not a different way than now, just like art from way back.
Shop in a cave somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Some waiting room rocks out,
Waiting room
like,
rocks.
Yeah, it would have been like a salon in a cave.
We toast our rocks on the fire.
And the sacrificial stone turned into your lay down bed, right?
Right. Caveman style. Don't say they didn't have them. Yeah, they might have had tattoo studios back then. But no, like, if you watch the beginning of like the Hell City DVD too, I think Johnny Thief's on there, and it's just a brief moment, but he's just like, he says they've dated tattoos, being as old as cave paintings, if not older. He goes, so tattoos could have predated us being able to communicate with language. So tattoos could be older than language.
Yeah, we just don't know. They haven't found evidence yet, right? But the evidence we do have, going back 5,000 years, possibly even further, right, is pretty amazing. It's just like, it probably happened like it did to us. We poked ourselves with a pencil, or we poked ourselves with a stick, and there we go. We got our first mark,
Now imagine the caveman looking forward in history to where it is now.
colors.
I don't think anybody could have fathomed that tattooing would be where it's at now, with the equipment, the appreciation. I always tell people too, there's more tattoos on a football field than there are jersey numbers. So your favorite athletes have tattoos, your favorite actors, it's finally a part of, culture and appreciated.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that, started with television. I mean, we had the tattoo magazines prior to that, right?
Yeah.
But the actual acceptance, let's say, started
Right.
when, tattoos they have a show on TV. Oh my
They're
God.
pretty
Okay. Well,
cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
People start watching it. Okay. Yeah, that's not so bad. It changed a lot of opinions on tattoo right there. And, as much as many people fought against that happening and were against the idea of tattoos going mainstream like that, I think it did a lot of great for the business. I think it really did.
Yeah. I always said it brought people beyond television and into the studio where you could see like, we're just a bunch of artists. We're in there having fun. And then every client has their own, personal reason why they're in there getting
the
tattooed.
early days of tattoo TV was nice when they would like interview the collector and the collector would talk about the story behind the tattoo. And then you'd get into like the artist collector speaking. And
put it right
the
here.
early days, the early days of tattoo shows weren't bad, really. It's just when things started becoming competitive, and that's when it became unrealistic. And we're seeing things where clients are under the impression they're going to get a sleeve in no time and this big solid work in no time at all.
It
where
did kind of bring it, like they do it on TV. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
they're wearing the same
in an hour.
clothes over and over. Yeah, they're wearing the same
Yeah,
outfit.
1 hour.
Yeah. So
Is it really going to take that long? Because that guy got that whole sleeve in just an hour.
He did it on TV.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
It was already
But
healed by
that's
the time
the
the show was over.
perception. The misperception of people, when they're watching TV. It's like with any show. It's somewhat real if it's reality, but it's not totally real.
And that's the only thing I take from the TV show that's unfair to the artist is the portrayal of time that people think. Other than that, I think every aspect for tattooing has been pretty damn good. Bringing tattooing to the forefront. Like you said, it's definitely increased the business for everybody, but also just like I said, the appreciation for the art form and stuff like that's at a whole new level. So I like the
Absolutely.
TV shows by far. What about you? Do you watch them?
I have. There's a newer show on Netflix that I just recently watched all of. That one wasn't too bad. I can't think of what it's called right now. But I'd love to see tattoo shows get away from competitions. I'd rather see tattoo shows get into like I said, get back into telling the story behind things. What is
my favorite one was Tattoo Wars.
Yeah.
Do you remember Tattoo
I
Wars?
agree. Oh yeah,
Tattoo
I like that
Wars
one.
do you remember that Tattoo Wars?
I don't know if I caught that one.
What they do, like one season, I think they filmed one of them.
Yeah, it didn't last long. It was like
the most
two artists
of any of them of the shows.
Yeah, two artists doing similar style, doing the same kind of tattoo. The only problem with me is the time limit. I don't really like that time limit thing that they're giving everybody, but that said, the idea behind it was really cool, and I thought that show was going to really take off, and I'm really sad it didn't. That was a pretty cool one.
Really good artists. That's kind of, with no disrespect to any artist ever on the show, when Tattoo Wars came out, I was like, holy shit, they got some of the top artists, at least of our generations, on there. So it was amazing to see like artists that had like seniority within tattooing that were just phenomenal artists being given the shot to be on TV without drama, without all this. And to be honest with you, we all know this. That's why the competitive side of thing keeps people's attention. There wasn't enough drama.
Right.
And realistically, there should be drama.
I don't like the drama.
That's what gets people's, the average person. You yell fight, everybody comes running.
We were approached so many times, in the beginning, even before the first show came out, we were approached about doing a show, and our shop has always been pretty smooth. We don't have drama, and we didn't even have much drama back then. So it was like, okay, we're down to do this and do this show if you can do it realistically and not make us argue with each other or get pissed at each other or have the drama, and so they did a pilot way back, and we've done a few of those, but it was always like, okay, let's go this direction, and we're like, nope, forget
Nope.
it.
Yeah.
Forget it. We're not going to create that drama within ourselves.
Yeah. No drama. It's funny.
Nope.
Because I interviewed for Ink Master a long time ago, but I was like, I just would want to be one of the judges. And so I'm doing the interview, and I didn't get the part, but I think it was because they were asking questions. They were like, so if you were in the house and so did this, what would you do? And I was like, I'd probably ignore them, focus on my tattooing. And
that's not the answers they want to hear.
Yeah.
That's not what they want to hear at all.
They wanted to hear me be like, I've choke them out. And fucking, it's like, no, it's like, it's sad that the drama is what would get you the attention,
Totally. And like they interviewed Jeremiah and I once for a show where they talked about us competing against each other, and I'm like, oh my God, and they were asking questions like, what would you do if Jeremiah did this? And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. I could tell already.
You're still mad at your mom about when you were 5 years old. Like,
as they're asking questions, I'm like, I feel like this interview is more confrontational than I'm comfortable with. Exactly. Like,
should I be doing this?
Yeah.
You need to judge.
It's like that, but at the end of the night, they can go home out of their studios when you and your son still have to, communicate after they create this fake ass drama.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we both, and then there was another one we were going to judge together on, which I thought would be really cool, right? Yeah. But it was too short a notice, it was like, we're booked out so far, and they're like, can you come next week? Come to Chicago next week, and I'm like, neither one of us could do that. So that fell through too, but that would have been a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on that Tattoo Wars. I was on another one called The Works, which is, they filmed it at Hell City. It's just like little parts. I wouldn't like have a part on it, but I've been on a few of those shows. Luckily, the ones I was on, like Tattoo Wars, was, in my opinion, like a positive show. And then The Works is just TLC, talking about how tattooing works and stuff like that. So
right.
But I do like the shows. I like where tattooing's at. I like the social media. I like the digital aspect of tattooing right now. We're talking, like, me and Gabe were talking about the metaverse and tattooing and how that's going to possibly get into consultations on, through the metaverse and things like that too. So what do you think? What do you see the future of not of the art of tattooing, but as far as the digital platforms? Do you do your social media? Do you do any kind of like other digital platforms or anything?
We do social media. We don't do too much, some, it's all kind of social media, even YouTube and stuff like that, right? So a little bit of that, but consultations, I've done a few over FaceTime or Zoom and things like that, especially during the close down and stuff. We did a lot of that. We had our meetings and everything, but the majority of the crew designs their artwork on an iPad. They're doing that. They're drawing on there and creating everything that way now. We still have some people who draw on, but most of the artists, I'd say the majority of them use an iPad to create the art first.
Yeah, same here. I think other than Marty Holcomb, who still draws flawlessly, like
he freehands.
Draw it on.
Dude,
that's right.
When he draws, like when Marty, because a lot of us, you do a lot of freehand.
You do too. I think me, you, and Marty we do a lot of freehand.
Yeah.
Like if our thermofax goes down, we're like,
no big deal.
This is just gonna take us an hour longer to draw it on you.
But with Marty, Marty's been tattooing for me for like 5 years now. But he's still out, with all respect to all of us, like he's still out tattoos everybody.
Yeah, he comes in like clockwork at between 7 and 7:30 every night. Everybody. And sometimes like I work late, but sometimes I'll be leaving at 4 and he's still working.
Yeah.
So like he does one appointment a day, but like some of those days are still full on, like, and he loves it. He's always so like,
but he draws like everything on, and to me that's kind of like
great.
Old school,
it's good to see that. I love it. I don't draw everything on. It depends on what it is, but do a lot of drawing on. I know Jeremiah does too, and a lot of the artists here. But
I think when you're chasing like full body suits. He's got so many collectors that are like either
Yeah.
full upper
Well,
body
Kari, you've
suit or
known
full
Marty
body
forever,
suits.
too.
They just
Sure.
one
Yeah.
flows into the next, and you can't do that with stencils.
Yeah.
You gotta
You
just
Yeah,
put
no,
it
you
there.
can't.
Body to flow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and everybody's different. So you draw it on the paper, and then you get it to the skin, and it just doesn't fit right. You know,
Mhm.
it's so much better to draw it on, or just give a few rough lines and then do it from
Yeah.
there, because it'll just flow better to the individual, I believe. You know.
Yeah, definitely. That's where Marty's stuff's just it flows
Yep.
from the shoulder to the chest and stuff.
I mean, it's great to know how to design on an iPad. Like I call it cheating and using shortcuts, but I do it sometimes
Yeah,
just to
I
be
use
like the
iPad a
time
lot.
saver. But
It's more
you
just
know.
condenses all your paper and pencils and everything
Mhm.
like that. Or I get a lot of times with me, because I fly back and forth from Ohio to Vegas a lot. Like I'll get people's tattoo drawings done just on my flight.
Yeah.
So I'm like
Yeah.
using my flights with my iPad to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
At home, I might not make 4 hours to get this drawing done, but boom, you know. So I love where the technology is. I like the
Mhm.
iPads. I think you should still, keep a good drawing hand on paper and freehanding on skin. So I like the combination too, of like drawing
Mhm.
something on iPad, stenciling, and then freehanding. Other
Yeah, I still
parts of
carry
it.
a sketchbook with me. I
Yeah.
usually have my iPad and my sketchbook,
actually
but like
still-
my sketchbooks, what I like, it's that pencil to paper when I'm working out
Yeah.
ideas. I don't have that with an iPad. It's not that kinetic. It's not that like
True.
direct energy transfer that makes me like get the
Yeah, that's a good
idea
point.
out. So like
Yeah.
for me, it'll be like a scribbly thing in my sketchbook that you can't even really make out unless you're me and you can read my shorthand.
Yeah.
And then when you see what I've like mocked up on the iPad, and then you see what I freehand draw off of that mock-up, it's like scribbly digital mock-up, and then I'm still
Like the rendered-
freehanding what I've put together on my
Yeah.
iPad. You know what I mean? And you
Yep.
do that a lot too. You like your
Yeah.
big Japanese pieces, like
Yep.
you'll make the design, but like you can't
But you still got
stencil wind bars
like,
that wrap all the
finagle
way
it on
around
the
the
body.
arm. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can like
exactly.
use pieces,
But I like
you
the-
still gotta.
I like the iPad to show the clients kind of what it's going to look like on them. I'll
Yep,
take a
that
photo of the
mock-up.
sleeve and then draw right on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, the mock-up. That's what we're talking. Not to mention the metaverse again. So we're not going to
Yeah,
go into the metaverse, but that could be tattoo consultations in the future, where in the metaverse you put goggles on. You meet face to face, and then you can use like digital tools to be like, this is kind of what we can kind of like sketch out on people. So I don't know. Who knows what the future holds?
You never
but
know.
I can see
Yeah,
that happen.
you never know.
Mhm. I mean, it's there with some of the like 3D painting and sculpting apps. Like if
Mhm.
you just pull in a
Yeah.
human form, now you can sculpt
you
or
draw right
paint
on
or
it.
render right on
Yep.
that three-dimensional form. So like it's there,
How are we going to
but
do a
the
tattoo
applications
convention
for us.
in the metaverse? That's what we got.
I mean,
You're
these
getting there.
reinventing live events are the beginning of that. Like this
Yeah.
is already the beginning of
Yeah.
that. Like this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a virtual attendance kind of event. Like you can come in
Everybody
person
on
or you can,
Oculus.
yeah. I'd have a
Oh, there you
360
go.
camera in my
Yeah.
room all the time. Let people sit in on my session.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd give you
Oh,
the
that'd be
reality.
rad.
Yeah, like just have it streaming anytime I'm working, and then
Or you could just have
sit
people in
on
the
my session
studios,
with me.
yeah, and then you go to Oculus and you click on
What's
studio
Fawn
you
working
wanna
on
visit,
today?
and then pull up that camera, then working.
What's Durb working on
the 3D
today?
camera.
Yeah.
All right, Kari, we're making it happen.
We're gonna
That's
take
like watching
virtual
your
strolls
dog at
through
the
Red
dog.
Tree.
It's like how you watch
Like
your
that.
pet, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
just like that.
what if that's the future? Yeah, like
Mhm.
everything has a camera and you just tune in different cameras virtually.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna make it happen.
That could happen. That could happen. You never know.
Do it.
Definitely
Cervena
could.
is going to have Nova and Gomez their own little virtual world,
Yeah,
so people can follow
little
them around
Pomeranian
as they're
world.
like laying for belly rubs. Be the Pomeranian 3D experience. Be the most bougie thing I've ever heard of.
God, it's gonna happen.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna be crazy. All of us will be like, we'll be socializing with our avatars. Like instead of us sitting here looking at videos of each other, we're gonna be looking at each other's weird
That's gonna
gamer
be weird.
avatars.
Weird. I can
So
see
when
the
you guys
pandemic-
have when you have Bob Terrell on the show, is he actually going to be doing a tattoo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe he's working on Lauren.
I think he's doing a black and gray skull
Yep.
tattoo.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's
Great.
on Saturday that he's doing
Mhm.
it.
Yep,
right?
I believe that's the plan. Is that right, Gabe?
Saturday.
Gabe is
Yeah.
confirming.
Yeah. No, that's exciting too. Is to have
That's very exciting.
A few different artists here tattooing and teaching. We got people beaming in live. I don't know if you can see which on the you can't see
Here.
the screen, but there's like a big screen above us.
There we can see
kinda
the
up
bottom
here.
edge of it.
Oh, look
So,
at that.
Yeah, so we got
Oh,
like
that's
nice little
pretty cool.
steps. Yeah, and then over kind of on the side here, we're gonna have like a tattoo booth, putting this queen down. So I think Bob's actually gonna be tattooing out here as well. So and that's what I like having
Oh,
this space for. We got enough room here
yeah.
to do all these extra events. Which would be
Yeah,
cool.
you got the sideshow banners up there too. We used
Mhm.
to have a shop that was decorated like that, you know, back in the day,
circusy.
our shopping. Oh yeah, we had the people would come in and they'd be like, get a little creeped out because we had all the sideshow photos, you know, real photos of different people. And we
Mhm.
just wanted to show what it was like for the
History.
people being tattooed at that time, you know?
Yeah.
And so we different every shop was decorated a certain way, and we had one that way, and we had one that had like, you know, island and Hawaiian and Polynesian style tattoos and decorations, and we had like an industrial, but everything kind of related to a certain style of
Like a
tattooing.
genre. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
That's really
Yeah, it
cool.
was really fun and really cool, and we don't have that so much anymore. I mean, Long Beach kind of has a naval theme to it because it used to be a naval, you know, port here, and it, you know, it's kind of a port city, docks and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. We still got that going on here, but it relates to, you know, the start of
History.
traditional tattooing here in California, and
Yeah.
you know, and how that comes about. So that's pretty cool. Our little museum we have here and everything. It's cool to
Yeah.
come look at.
You still have all that, all the museum stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's rad.
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every time I do one, well, these are old pictures of the pike back from the day behind me, and
Okay. Yeah.
everyone's kind of dated different, but they're blow ups off of old postcards that we have,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know, showing what it used to be. But like, and some of these go back to the late 1800s. So
Rad.
the pike wasn't labeled the pike, but people would come here, you know, and they're bugging, you know, their buggies with their horses or goats pulling their carts. We have photos of them going to the beach,
Wow.
which is right here, and everybody's fully dressed in their gowns and bonnets and everything in the water. It's pretty cool to see, you
Wow.
know.
Wait, so
Yeah,
they'd wear the bonnets, everything like in the water to the beach?
in the water. Yeah, then eventually, you know, in the 20s, right, they got to those, you know, swimming suits that were like long shorts with the tank top
Yeah.
kind of thing for guys, right? And you can see the progression over the years through all the photos of what happened
Dude, if they
at
could
the
only look
pike.
forward now, be like, go to the beach now,
Yeah,
see what women are wearing, and everybody's wearing it.
yeah,
It's like they've gotten rid
yeah.
of.
People don't know what the pike was, but it was like a huge amusement attraction area, and there was like 12
Oh,
tattoo shops at one time here in this area.
Mhm.
So it's
wow.
pretty amazing, you know, kind of like a Coney Islandish thing of the West Coast, you know.
Wow.
Pretty
And
exciting.
how
Yeah,
many shops were in that little area? Say like 8,
12
12.
12 at one time. Yeah, and 5 of them were owned by Bert Grimm. So, you know,
Okay.
he'd create his own competition basically. So if, you know, somebody came in complaining or they didn't like
Send
the
them down to
guy
his
or
other
the,
shop.
yeah, boot him out, but he's sending them to his other shop
Oh,
basically,
wow.
you know, just
That's genius.
make,
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
right.
Get out of here. You want to go down to this other
Yep.
shop? And they send them.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So he was a
Genius.
good businessman that way,
Yeah.
you know, and all the shops were very closely related. So there was this one where we're at, and right next door there was another, and then a half a block down there was 2 more, and they were all just like all within a certain area of the area, so you could walk from one to the next to the next, and all those shops were booming busy, you know,
Are
back in the
any of them still around? Like your studio, the original ones there is any of those shops still there that were back then?
just this
Like
one.
in that,
This is
just
the
that.
only one left is right here, and this building that we're in is the last remaining building or piece of the pike that still stands. They demolished it in 1979 and only left this building, and only because above us there's condominiums. So we have a historical building, and so we survived, whereas all the other shops and other buildings did not.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
we're lucky.
it's a lot of special circumstances that line up that,
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes things are just meant to last and they're supposed to like endure. And it sounds like there's a lot of just special things that have lined up to allow your shop to
And Kari,
be
if
the
you,
oldest. And
yeah, and if you didn't step
Yeah,
up and take over Burt Grimm's original shop, like that part of history could have been lost as well. So
could have been, but maybe somebody else would have. You never know. hopefully somebody would have if we didn't, but we did. And, it wasn't comfortable for a lot of people because at the time, uh, a lot of the guys in the industry didn't want a woman to own the shop,
Mhm.
So at that time, wasn't aware that any women had ever worked here. I thought it was basically just the guys, the
Mm,
boys club. And then doing our research here and, looking back into the history, we found some women who had worked here, you know, Calamity Jane and Dainty Dottie
oh,
and
really?
also, yeah. And also Bert Grimm's wife worked a couple of years here, Julia. So those three women that we know of positively worked out of this shop. And then we had, other women who came through the Pike area, like Lady Blue, came in for a couple years and worked in this area. So we have a lot of springing off of traditional and developing into the black and gray that, Charlie Cartwright, Jack Rudy, Freddie Negretti,
Yeah,
that group of people developed and continued to inspire and have that growing even today,
yeah.
pretty
Well,
amazing.
what would you say, like as a female artist, some of the like the early days, what were some of the hurdles as far as being a female artist back then? Did people try to like shut it down, or were they respectful? Like when you first started tattooing, it was a heavily male dominated, but you said that,
Yeah,
there were
yeah,
female
of
tattooers
course.
back then. What were some of the hurdles or the struggles you found as a female artist just
Well,
trying to be a
for
tattooer?
women in general, being a woman was the problem because guys thought it was a male job. It was
Yeah,
just a tough guy thing that guys did. And, so a lot of guys didn't want women tattooing. It's kind of if you have a men's club, you don't want the girls in there, right?
yeah,
It's
they
kind
didn't
of
want to
like
see that
that,
women could
right?
tattoo just as well, if not better, because it would hurt
It's
their ego.
possibly. I think they just wanted to hang out the way they wanted to hang out, And if you got a bunch of guys hanging out and you bring one good girl in
Boys
there, the
club,
whole
yeah.
dynamic changes, right? So, that's kind of where it came into. But a lot of women um, were treated very badly, and a lot of women were used as eye candy or were brought into the shop just because of they were really pretty at the time. It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with them wanting a female to learn how to tattoo. Although there was a lot of, you know, really well-known famous tattoo artists who helped women, like Charlie Wagner helped a lot of women learn to tattoo. And then, more recent, Mike Malone and Ed Hardy,
Yep.
they taught a lot of women. A lot of guys have been very helpful. But
Yeah.
then there's the other side of that, where they're just like, no, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
So, the hurdles are mixed depending on the woman you talk to. Some didn't have that, and many did, where they were extremely taken advantage of. And,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. And hopefully we're coming out of that, but
Yeah.
thank God to those who were able to get through and do what they
Yeah.
wanted to do.
I think, like you said, Don Hardy gives appreciation to the female artists back then. I think it's highly respected artists like that to show appreciation for the female artists that'll slowly spread, back then and be like, oh shit, all right, Don
Yeah,
has females working for him. Like, hell yeah. So no, I think it's been
absolutely.
phenomenal over the years too, because I've seen, back in the artists like you, but to see female artists become like it's 50-50 and they're just as
Yeah.
badass as any male art, so I like that playing field with
Yeah.
artists and stuff, it's
Yeah, me
healthy
too.
for everybody.
Me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Last time Kari and I spoke, we talked about how like the scene has just like softened up a little bit. You know what I mean? It used to just be so brash. It used to just be like a good old boys club. And like in addition to women, like Kari brought up last time, like the whole community is more accepting. Like we've
Mhm.
got tattooers of every race in every city. We've got transgender artists that are open and out
Everybody, yep.
and don't have to worry about anything now. So it's really cool to see, like, we've been talking about the history of tattooing a lot today, but it's really cool that in my generation, like back to like calling it the renaissance of tattooing.
Mhm.
Like it's such a big community that it is accepting by default. Like the community has just grown to include everybody and everybody is now included. And
It's like the
you know
intelligence behind tattooing is increased. I think it's not such a narrow
Absolutely.
way of thinking about.
I wouldn't have
the
put
art of
those
it.
Yeah.
words to it, but I agree. Like, because with intelligence becomes a lot more open-mindedness.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe open-mindedness leads to intelligence. But
Yeah.
either way, they go hand
favor
in
each
hand.
other. Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel about the industry. It's a much, more accepting, just
Yep.
open industry, you know?
Yeah,
It
well,
should be.
I'm just working on a little t-shirt design for the Tattoo Heritage Project. I don't know if you guys know
What is
about
that?
that.
Gabe was actually
Tattoo
just
Heritage.
messaging me to ask about that.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. So Tattoo Heritage Project is a dream that Charlie Cartwright had. And it's basically, he wants to open one large tattoo museum, right? So he wants to share collections from different people from all over in one location. So it'd be like the Natural History Museum of tattoo,
Tattooing. Yeah.
right? And he wants to do that here in Long Beach. So he's been working on that along with members of the board, Jack Rudy, myself, there's Chewy and Corey, and we have JD Crow, and we're all basically trying to do what we can to help that dream come through. So I'm working on this t-shirt design that my assistant and I have been kind of mulling through. And you mentioned the history. So I've used these three words, history, knowledge, growth. So the history brings the knowledge and the growth. It's like a circle, right? So those three things building us towards our future and respecting our past, and I just really believe that we learn from the past what is right, what's wrong, and helps us move forward with that knowledge. We have that growth. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm working on that. And so the Tattoo Heritage Project is on Instagram. It has a website you can donate to help bring funds. We're trying to raise money to basically get that museum going. So, we had talked about if every tattoo artist in the nation donated $40, we'd have enough money, to open that entire museum and start sharing with the world what the history of tattoo and whatever, all these small little,
a real preservation of some of the history, but keeping the collection together.
And have rotating collections through there, showing art, having famous tattoo artists, well-known tattoo artists, old school tattoo artists, everybody come and share their knowledge there. So I think it would be really cool. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Has he found like a location or anything? Or is it still just like an idea?
Well, we've been searching the locations, and we have the city working along with us. The city of Long Beach is very excited about it, actually. So we've had a couple different meetings with city council members, and the mayor is very into it. And so we're looking for the location, but we have to get the funding first.
Yeah.
So that's our first step, is
like
doing the fundraising.
Yeah.
So we're looking at all avenues for that to help Charlie's dream come true.
Yeah. I think it's important too, because I've had some buddies, buddy here in town actually was buying a bunch of Stony St. Clair flash, from back in the day. And I guess the original guy that was selling it was like kind of splitting some of it up. And I was like, it needs to stay together. Don't sell a sheet to this guy and a sheet to that guy just to make money.
Right.
Don't look at the price value, look at the historic value of it. And I was like, you should keep that collection of all the Stony stuff togetver.
Chewy has a bunch of Dainty Dottie flash, and how often do you hear about Dainty Dottie? Not very often. I never even heard of her until, years back, start doing some research, and I'm like, look at this tattoo artist here that nobody even talks about. But there's,
doing flash back in the day.
Quite a few of them that are amazing.
There's a guy here. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a guy here in Columbus called Little Mac that was before Stony too. So if you can find Little Mac sheets, like you're talking, those are even more like historic than Stony because he came right before him.
Right. Yeah. Stony, is he the one who did the book Stony Knows How?
Yeah. And that's who Marty Holcomb
on the shelf.
Apprenticed under too. So he apprenticed under Stony, and have you heard him tell stories about Stony?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got some really funny stories, back in those days.
Oh, I
about
bet.
Stony.
That'd be great to
he's a
hear.
little rough around the edges, but some of the stories Marty tells are they're priceless.
Yeah, that's,
cracking
you
up.
know, hearing the stories from anybody who's been there before us is fantastic, you know, hear how
Yeah.
it changed and all that.
Oh yeah.
So our shop is going to be opening here soon. We're going to have some people coming through out there in the front room. If you start to hear a little noise, I just wanted to let you guys know that's going to be happening.
Yep.
It's okay. The last couple weeks, sometimes we've had orders and stuff going through as we're live.
Yeah.
That's the reality of a tattoo shop.
Life
We
goes
want
on.
to give
Yeah.
people a realistic expectation. This is it. Stuff happens.
Yeah, that's what we should do one time. Do it on a busy tattoo day
Yeah,
and
just
get
super
everybody
busy.
tattooing on there. Yeah,
Are you
Yeah, that'd be
tattooing
really
today? Are
good.
you getting ready to tattoo?
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you working
I'm
on
set
today?
up.
What are your what's your project?
Today I'm actually finishing up just last day on it's kind of a Hawaiian tropical flower sleeve. It's all black and gray, but it's a guy I worked on years and years ago in Clark North when Clark used to work at the shop. He did his other arm, and Jeremiah did his upper arm on one side, and Clark did the upper arm on the other side. So I'm just extending down
Down the whole sleeve.
from Clark's side. Right. It's generally I do the full sleeve, but this guy's been a client for so long. It's kind of exciting to see all three works together, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
something
like
magic
it.
when you see a limb turn into like a collaborative effort. And
Yeah.
it's nice when like you can. My goal is always to blend like my work into the other artist, so it's all cohesive and you
Seamless.
can't tell where like one artist stops and the next starts, but all of our flavor is still in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
That's
challenge.
difficult because styles are so different, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It gets
yeah.
difficult sometimes unless you're working on the piece at the same time,
Mhm.
you know, like, you know, either doing a collaboration or back and forth. Like Jeremiah and I have done pieces in the past, and other artists here in my shop too, where I'll work on it one day and then the next visit they go to the next artist and then I'm the one after and we go back,
You know what I
back
think?
and forth.
I
That's
think
cool.
that your guys' styles are similar, and you guys should try
Oh.
to do that someday.
I mean, if we could
collaboration.
do some crazy fantasy underwater stuff, it would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I love
You
octopus are
both-
my current favorite. Absolutely. You know,
Yeah, you guys are both painterly with your tattooing, so
Yeah. No, I would love to one day collect a piece from you. I talk about it hypothetically like it's going to happen, and I haven't even talked to you about it. But
so I'm putting it out there.
but
Well,
yeah,
there
it
we
would
go.
it
You
would
never
be
know.
it would be a pleasure to do. I want to get on a collaborative project with Marty too. Like I
Yeah.
feel like Marty and I would do some cool
Mhm.
landscape stuff together.
Yeah,
But
painterly style.
but my sea stuff, I feel like I definitely have always looked at your work, the octopuses and like the flow and the form and fit of things with the form. Like I like the way that, like, let's just talk about octopuses. Like when
Yep.
if somebody's got a big octopus on their shoulder and it wraps down, as they move, you can tell that it moves with reason and function around the joints and stuff. And that's something that, like, I saw that very early on in your work, and it was like,
Kari,
noted.
you're
Noted.
actually, like, you went to art college and everything, so your skills, you've actually went to school, like art schools and things like that. And to be honest with you, like, I mean, that's going on now, but back in the day, I didn't meet many tattooers that actually went to, like, like
Yeah, I
art
haven't.
college and stuff.
Yeah, I've never done that.
I thought you
No.
went to art
Mm-mm.
college.
No, I didn't. So I didn't even graduate high school, to tell you the truth. I had to get my GED,
Well, shit,
and I've
what do I
only.
know? I thought when we were hanging out, because me and Dean were at your house, I thought you had like certificates up, maybe I was so
probably-
young. I was
Probably just early awards. They used to give like those certificates at the conventions,
okay.
So
maybe,
so the tattoo artist would get a paper certificate, and the person wearing the work got the trophy, right?
Okay.
Because they're the ones who went through it and endured it. So
Yeah.
the tattoo artist got the recognition, but the client actually would get the trophy and they'd win money. They used to give them money prizes, which was really cool.
I was 19-year-old mesmerized, like,
Yeah.
Certificates.
certificates. Shit.
Yeah. So my client has arrived in the front room. So I guess I got to sign out soon.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Good talking to you.
thank you
Yeah,
so
you
much for taking the
too.
time to join us. I would love to continue talking with you some more when the opportunities present themselves. This has been a pleasure again.
And we got to try to
Yeah,
get you and
just
the
give me a
family back
call.
out to Hell City in Phoenix this year.
I know. You're going to do that? You're going to do Phoenix?
Yeah, we're doing it last weekend in August. So if you,
Oh.
Jeremiah, you guys want a booth, just let me know, because it's not going to be our last year, but it may be the last year under my flag.
Oh,
So we're doing
got you.
20 years of Hell City. So it may go on, somebody may carry the torch, but
Oh,
this is kind
yeah.
of like my blowout year.
My
Well,
granddaughter was just talking about that. My little granddaughter, she's 7, and she was just telling me how at the hotel they redid the slide. Right,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
her thing of the convention. They
They love it
redid the
there.
slide, Nana, and the slide now it does this and it does that.
It's
and
huge
it's
now.
huge. Yeah.
So they've
Yeah.
grown up there. The Hell,
Yeah.
a Hell City every year,
Yep.
especially the Phoenix show. I see them out in the pool every
Absolutely.
year having fun. So yeah, it's different
Absolutely.
there now. But to me, that the pandemic's kind of put me in a different direction. I'm focusing back on my tattooing and my studio, my
Right.
other companies. So
There you
yeah,
go.
we'll be passing the torch off, or I'll just give it to Fawn. She can have it.
I don't know if I want all that headache. Can I get your assistance
Yeah,
too?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Keep
Me
the
there
assistants
all
on
the
your
time.
payroll.
I'll be
but
like
let me
Yoda on your
use 'em.
back.
Yeah.
Just gotta
Yeah.
carry
There
That'll
you
it
work.
go.
around.
There you go.
Well, have a good day tattooing.
Thank you very much, you guys, and thanks for inviting me over for a little bit. It was nice to chat, and I do look forward to the next time.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much. We will
And thank you
talk
from
to
everyone at
soon.
Reinventing as well.
Thank you very much. You
Yeah.
guys have a wonderful day, and I hope everything goes smooth, and I'll look forward to seeing what Bob does and what's coming up in the future here.
Awesome. Thank you again.
All righty. Bye.
Oh,
See ya.
so, what else do we have to do this weekend to get ready?
Now we're getting ready to set up tables, chairs, more pipe and drape. We
More
gotta
pipe
set
and
up your
drape.
booth with all the video stuff.
This
and
building's going to be so teched out this weekend.
we got to put up the green screen for Lauren.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
I'm excited. Yeah, this whole weekend's gonna be exciting. Like I said, it's the first big tattoo event. The weather's gonna be challenging.
Hey, Gabe, do you want to join us for a few minutes? Talk about this weekend?
Come on up, Gabe.
Come join us.
Come on.
Come on up.
I think the momentum from everybody driving in is really high because we haven't done any sort of event like this in a while, especially,
Yeah.
or I guess since the Paradise BYOB.
Yeah. I've been excited. It's one of those things where like it doesn't matter where it was, I would have gone and I would have been on board. But the fact that it's here at Red Tree is very like, this is gonna be fine. It's gonna go great. Like
Yeah.
there's the lack of worry because everything's here, you know.
I only got 11 text messages during that. That's not
It's
bad.
okay.
It's- I
11's
I
not
literally
bad.
I had to like set my phone down. It's like just going off. I'm like, no.
Nice. One of the things that's happening is documentation of people's collections, right? That's part of the green screen project. Is
Yeah,
that,
Lauren and I were kind of brainstorming about that yesterday. Are you still with us, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm about to dip out, get my kids onto school, but yeah, I think a tattoo tour booth would be pretty neat. I know Todd's got some great work, and that kind of sparked the
Yeah.
idea. So yeah, I know
We're
that
gonna-
it's important to see healed work from an artist perspective. So hopefully we can do some of that.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna be clearing out that room. So whenever you guys are you bringing the green screen tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, it's going to be Saturday morning. We're leaving here Friday
Okay.
night after an
So we'll have the
important
area
meeting.
like easily set up in the office, all cleared out for you. So it should be, and it's a private room, so it's nice and quiet. You can shut the doors. And things
Oh,
like that.
awesome!
So,
Really looking
yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm excited to start setting up actually.
yeah,
See it all come together.
it's,
right here.
the place looks cool. I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh yeah.
it'll be fun.
Yeah. So get all the pipe and drape up.
Yeah, we got. We still have our AV meeting coming up.
Mhm.
This
Yeah, Brian's
afternoon?
gonna be here, what, 2, I think? Time is
Through the
it?
ice.
It's
Okay.
crazy how much coordination it takes and how much work. But then when the day comes, it's like boom, 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 ready to go.
Well, it's not anybody's first time either.
Yeah, we're
I
like
mean,
old pros at this
yeah,
now.
And this is like, a stage, a seminar room, 3-4 booths.
Super
Like,
simple, yeah.
going, from Hell City down. I'm from Paradise down. This is-
Yeah, you guys have heard me talk about it. It's gonna be one of my last hurrahs of me personally doing it, but I'm not gonna stop doing events. Now that I have this facility, the main goal is, like this, micro events, arts and music festivals and things
Well,
like
the
that.
supply company is growing so much, so fast right now.
Yeah, it is definitely, and I personally, like, once the pandemic hit, I realized like putting on a convention is a hell of a lot of stress.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think I've enjoyed these last 2 years of like very little stress, even though it's a pandemic and life's not the same. It's like the stress behind putting on a convention. It's a lot.
I used to
you know?
joke that it would take off years of your life.
Yeah.
And then
shit,
I
for
heard
real.
somebody on a podcast somewhere was like, "You said that," and I think it was trying to scare me. I'm like, I'm not actually trying to scare anybody.
No.
And maybe it's different for other people, but for me, the first couple of years, I'm like, "Oh man, like
I mean, it's one thing to put on the
tremendous
convention for
amount
like a
of,
year or two, but to try to
Yeah.
do it like we're coming up on 20 years.
It's
This is
crazy to-
30 shows in 20 years.
It's crazy to just be around you and see how many, like you just said, there were
Just-
11 messages. That's really not a lot for you for an hour.
Not too bad.
That's
yeah.
not a lot for an hour. Like when it gets close to Hell City, it is like
Oh, it's bombarding.
nonstop bombardment. Like
And that's what I realized when I didn't have to do it when the pandemic hit. I was like, that's my stress. You know, I
Cool
love
stuff,
doing
yeah.
it. Don't get me wrong, but it's the amount of work to put on you know, like a high level tattoo
Mhm.
convention.
you've
for
got
20
hundreds of
years and-
artists, and every one of those artists needs a little bit of
Yeah.
attention. So a little bit of
Mm.
attention spread that thin. It's just a lot of
Yeah.
stress.
One of the hurdles right now is that we're finding with the convention and picking up where we left off was that a lot of these artists are not at the studios they were at 3 years ago, or they've
Sure.
moved states, or
Mhm.
they've so trying to track everybody down and get everything back on track, you know, has been probably one of the biggest challenges
I
this
think
year.
we're probably going to punt Paradise till next year. You know, we had some dates set aside
Mhm.
for October, and we talked about them even, but at this point, things so nuts. Like international travel, like we have a lot of
Yeah.
international people, so
I'd say another year or
So,
two
yeah,
before things start feeling back to normal, you know, and I don't know what to expect, you know, putting Hell City on, you know, we're used to huge crowds and things like, you know, things like that, but
Mhm.
like, we'll see how it goes, you know.
I think so many people are looking forward to it that
Yeah.
it's gonna be as good of a show as the situation will
oh,
allow.
absolutely.
That's what I think.
And we're
I
not
think-
shortcutting anything. Like I've told my managers, like, we're doing the same advertising, same quality show. We're not shortcutting anything. We're coming back with a boom,
Mhm.
you know?
Yep.
And if the crowd's smaller, then so be it. It's a pandemic.
I'm looking forward to the
Yeah.
Columbus show, but man, I'm looking forward to the Phoenix
The
show
Phoenix show,
so much this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
It's always like every convention is kind of like a family reunion for artists
It
and
is, sure.
collectors. Because as collectors, we start seeing each other and we start knowing each other. And
It's the
so
tattoo family.
but the Hell City Phoenix show in particular, like that is the one where artists go out, they're like, oh, I'm not working at it, but I'm traveling out
They
there and
just
I'm
come out
taking my
party and
family
hang
and
out.
I'm
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
like
like
Jeremiah and them, he tattoos, but like they come out with the family. 'cause
Yep.
It's more than just a tattoo convention. It's a
I mean, the
a tattoo
resort's
reunion
beautiful
and
and
it's
all
beautiful resort.
inclusive pretty much.
I
Like
remember-
there's nothing you can't get on the resort.
Yeah.
However,
For
it's
$15.
just
right.
it's just so it's just so nice to wander
Yeah.
around and
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? Like
A lot
you
of
can
people, when they show up, they're like, how'd you get this place to let you do a tattoo convention? Because it's so nice, like you said, it's
Uh-huh.
like
You
luxurious.
gotta speak in the mic.
Different.
probably should've said it.
It's a different experience for people because of the venue and the world's largest tattoo pool party going on.
I want to get some weird photos of me climbing structures and see if they can
Oh shit! But be careful.
because of my back piece. I just want to blend in.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Just
your
hang
back
on the
piece
walls
is
and-
based off of the
Yeah.
Biltmore,
Yeah.
like blocks and everything.
Yep.
Remember,
Which is
there-
awesome.
There was some issues when you're be careful doing that.
What was it?
Billy jumping off the.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we don't need to go there. Just be careful.
What he
as
he
well.
dove
I'm
out
not-
of the hot
I'm
tub
not
into the
reckless.
pool.
Yeah,
I'm not
for-
reckless.
Break his neck.
Yeah, it was like, but
Like concussion.
you know, I was thinking,
Hell City can be dangerous.
Did
Everybody.
people look up the tattoo wars? I was there when
Yeah, Guy and
very-
Eric Kane.
Yeah, it was like first thing in the morning. I'm like strolling around. I'm like, what are all those cameras doing over there?
I was
you had
trying
no
to
And
pull
then
up
they
a
like
video
roll
of
up and
it.
shake each other's hands. And
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
That's when
so-
Guy and him came out.
Yeah.
And,
The
yeah.
Tattoo Wars. It's on YouTube still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found just a couple little promo blips, but I
Awesome.
couldn't tell which was going to be a good one to share when I was
Yeah,
trying
I
to
think
Yeah.
there were like
share
6
for
or
us.
7 episodes they
Yeah,
did.
they're all good. They actually
Yeah.
did like real in-depth interviews with like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of real.
I'd love
every
to see
artist was
more.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about? This is what we need to do with this show.
Tattoo
All
Wars.
of these ideas. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, we need to have like maybe
Um,
highlight 2 artists every
Yeah,
few weeks
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
give them
Yeah.
like 2 artists that do similar styles, follow a couple of projects, follow the clients. I think we're at the
And
very
then-
tippy toe of an idea
And then
here.
you do it collaboratively instead of antagonistically. I mean, I'm a hippie at heart, right? So I'm like, man, you could do it
Well, like-
together instead
Yeah.
of against each
Well,
other.
like
There's
for
no-
instance,
but-
you could do like 2 artists of similar style. Like let's say we could get Guy and Don McDonald.
Mm.
So they're both friends, colleagues,
yeah.
worked on one
Um,
another, similar art.
know each
Let's
other.
follow 2 of their project stories.
We had an
and see
idea
how they
for-
evolve. That could be neat.
Yeah.
For Hell City this
Sounds
year,
awesome.
and it was gonna be called Battle Booth, and it was gonna be like a tattoo wars, but it was just one double booth with one artist working this side, that side, and then a ballot box
Ooh,
you know, and
that's
then
a
they're doing
fantastic idea.
similar themes or whatever, but
Full-
they
full
can't see
contact?
each other. Huh?
Oh, you can't see each other.
No,
I
I'm
was thinking,
saying like
all right,
I'm
fucking hitting
so
each
it's
other,
just a
throwing
booth.
elbows.
Literally, like Friday we'd have this artist versus this artist.
Yep.
Just have a
and
curtain
ballot
down
box,
the
and
middle.
at the end of the night, it would be like the award for
Yeah.
you know, and then Saturday it'd be different artists battling each other.
Tattooing
and Sunday,
something very
it's
similar.
called we were gonna call it Battle Booth, Hell City
I
Battle
think that's a
Booth.
great idea.
And you know, you win like $500 or
Sure.
whatever for the winner. So
I think that's a great
yeah,
idea.
maybe we'll do that this year. We've still got a couple open booths. So
Yeah, I think
we'll
there's
do the battle booth up by the
potentials.
stage.
You know, the other one, I guess if we're talking about this, it's horrible because somebody would take the ideas, but if somebody does it, we don't do them, that's good too.
look, if
Yeah,
you want to put the work into stealing one of our ideas,
Yeah.
help
Absolutely, go
yourself.
for
I'm putting this out here. I want
Yeah.
to see somebody else do it.
What's the other one's tattoo machine Olympics.
What's that?
So like tilted up metal track, and then you put your
Oh, so they-
raise
yeah.
down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
The best one they'll write like tear down the machine and put it together. First person to tattoo themselves.
Oh, like
wins.
they do in like
Yeah.
the military. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody would know
Just
how to
making
reassemble
needles.
their machine. Do you know
Right.
how often coworkers are like, my machine's being weird? It's like, well, have you taken it apart and cleaned
I've
it?
met so many artists that are good artists that their machine goes wonky and they kind of don't know what to do.
I always have
the
a backup
mechanics
machine.
of a coil machine. You got to know. There's a lot more to know about a coil machine.
Have you
that,
seen my
know.
little toolbox that I have upstairs? I've got thin and thick bodied machine oil, which everybody should
Okay,
have.
okay.
And then I've got my Allen pack, and then I've got my itty bitty Allen
Just
pack.
springs.
And then I got my micro torque set because
Okay.
some of them take the little torque star screws
Mhm.
only. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's in a tiny little saver container this
Just like a
big,
little
but I
machine
can
kit.
I can tear
Yeah.
down any of my machines and put them back together. And I mean my
Nice.
coil machines too.
Yeah.
Can you
out
do
of
it
this
under
little
pressure?
kit.
What y'all know about coil
Absolutely.
machines?
Against Russ Abbott, whoever tattoos himself first wins. Nah.
You know what? Depending on who it is, like probably not Durb because he's built so many machines
a
and he's
lot,
just
yeah.
faster. But like if you were to put me next to any one of my coworkers outside
You
of
could.
Durb, I feel like
Maybe
it would
Ben.
be,
Ben Rife.
but not with a rotary.
Not with a rotary though. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I can
True.
maintain
magic
my
wand.
coils and my rotaries.
Yeah.
therein
true.
lies the other,
Very true, 'cause he didn't do rotary at all, does he?
But I'd be down.
You could.
I'd
Yeah.
be down.
You're versatile. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down to give it a go.
That's important. Versatile. To be,
Look, what was I saying? I'm a woman of backup plans, Gabe.
Voila.
I'm a woman of backup plans.
My
This-
backup plan was not so good this weekend.
I came. I was
You,
there.
you were great. You were amazing. But that wasn't in my backup. My backup plan was AAA guy.
I had a backup plan for
that was
you.
a
You
better
just
plan.
didn't
way
Yeah,
better.
you're going to get them.
You're like, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna catch a ride with AAA guy with like fucking my whole computer, all my computers. Like,
Oh,
got 'em
I
all
would have had a
in there.
nervous.
And,
I would have had a nervous breakdown if I was trusting all of my broadcasting equipment with a stranger.
No
you know,
way.
I mean, I would have
No
hopefully
way.
been in there in the car with him, but it was. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh no
Yeah.
problem.
Save the day.
Universe will return the favor.
I think it's the only hurdle is going to be this weekend's the weather. but
Weather's rough.
It should be better
Yeah.
by Saturday. If the storm go through
Seems like
today and
it's clear,
tomorrow,
yeah. No,
we
I,
go
I
out there
think
and
today,
shovel
I
out.
think
and we're
today's the
good.
rough day, and tomorrow it should be good.
Yeah, and we start cleaning out tomorrow before the event begins.
But I mean, we have all the cameras and all the internets. I mean, it is already a hybrid event. There were people that were already
Yeah.
planning on beaming in. So if there's
Yep.
anybody else that needs to shift to beaming in, we can, and people can be here.
Thank God
show
for the
must go on.
digital age of tattooing because you
Yeah.
guys can be men.
Mhm.
I was
You
actually
know?
kind of joking. I was like, Conan, don't worry about it, man. As long as you have, power there, your show's going to go on. Oh, also cellular connection. You need like a
Yeah,
internet
right, yeah.
connection, but as long as you have power and an internet connection,
Yeah,
we can make it happen.
I think it's going to go really good. Everybody's excited. Everybody's
yeah.
coming together to make the event happen. So
Yeah.
It's going to be a late night with after. Bob, I think Bob's bringing his guitar.
busy.
Sweet.
Yeah. We've had
Maybe
that
I'll
here.
bring my little guitar back
Yeah.
in.
So a little music jam, well, music and paint jam.
Yep.
They're fun.
It
Yeah.
would be cool if Bob brings his guitar. That'd be
Oh.
great.
Yeah.
We'll be able to beam in everybody for the art jam, right? So if anybody else that's wants to beam in.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Yeah.
Bring out the
when
art
we have the
jam.
art jam going on, we'll probably have so many feeds from this room, so you'll be able to look
Yeah.
over a lot of
Yep.
different people's shoulders if you're joining in. You'll be able to see what everybody's working on. It's gonna be a really good time.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
Can't wait.
Yep.
I'm ready to set up.
Yeah, I'm down.
Should we go ahead and sign off? And
Yeah.
Should we
get
set up,
cracking?
everybody?
Awesome.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you as always next week. And we will have a lot of fun footage and material from this weekend. So, Thank you all. Oh, Gabe's got to run away to do
Hey,
his
thanks
part.
for having me on too.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
appreciate
taking
it.
the
It was
time to
fun.
join us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting to
was.
catch up with Kari.
Yeah, I was
Kari
way
for a
less
second.
of a fangirl with you carrying the conversation this
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't fangirling as much. I mean, I was, but it wasn't interrupting the
I
conversation.
like talking to old friends.
Yeah.